Renee woke in the stillness of night, the low hum of the ceiling fan, the only sound in the room. Restless, she realized she'd left her phone in the living room, an ordinary habit. But tonight, it felt impossible to sleep without it. She slid out of bed and padded quietly down the hallway. The house was dark, wrapped in silence. Then, a sound, soft voices. A rhythmic noise that didn't belong to the hush of midnight. She stopped, listened. Maybe the TV? But no, the tone wasn't electronic. It was intimate, human. The strange pressure tightened around her chest as she crept forward, heart pounding. When she reached the guest bedroom door, it was slightly ajar. She hesitated. Something inside her already knew. With a trembling hand, she pushed it open. Time stopped. There, under her own sheets, was Malcolm, her husband of 6 years, and beside him, tangled and half-covered, was Jasmine, her sister. Renee couldn't move. A sudden cold swept through her body like a wave of ice, locking her limbs in place. The air thickened. Her breath snagged in her throat, as if the world itself refused to let her speak. Jasmine was the first to see her, eyes wide, mouth parting in disbelief. Malcolm turned next. The moment their eyes met, his expression shifted into sheer panic. Renee took a step back, then another. No screaming, no words. She didn't want to hear apologies or half-formed lies. She didn't want to see them scramble, covering up their betrayal like it was something shameful and small. Her mind was eerily quiet, blank almost, except for one sharp echoing thought. This isn't real. This can't be real. She turned and walked out, her feet moving as if they didn't belong to her. She went to the living room and stopped in front of the wall where their wedding photo hung. In the picture, she was smiling, her hand in Malcolm's, her eyes full of trust. Now that same hand trembled as she reached out and touched the frame. "How could you?" she whispered, her voice breaking as a tear rolled down her cheek. The house stayed silent, but inside Renee, everything had shattered. The camera lingered on her face, her hand still shaking on the photo before fading to black. A hard-working nurse, deeply loyal, married to Malcolm for 6 years. Renee had built her whole life around caring for others. She worked long shifts at the hospital, sometimes 12 hours straight, and still came home with a smile for her husband. 2 years ago, when Malcolm lost his job, she didn't complain. Instead, she picked up extra shifts and paid all the bills herself. She told him it was okay, that he would find something soon. He never really did, but Renee never stopped supporting him. Her younger sister, Jasmine, was different from her in every way. Jasmine had always been the pretty one, the one people noticed when they walked into a room. Growing up, family and friends would say, "Jasmine is so beautiful, she'll go far in life." But Jasmine never stayed anywhere long. Jobs, relationships, even cities. She floated from one place to another, always looking for something better, always calling Renee when life fell apart. Renee had always been there to pick up the pieces. When Jasmine's last relationship ended badly, she had nowhere to go, and Renee immediately said, "Come stay with us for a while." It wasn't even a question for her. She believed in helping family, and she trusted Jasmine. But Renee's own life hadn't been easy lately. She and Malcolm had been trying to have a baby for 3 years, without success. Each negative test felt like a tiny heartbreak, and over time, it created distance between them. Malcolm didn't talk much about how he felt, and Renee was too tired from work to push him. Some nights, she would come home to find him watching TV alone, barely looking up when she walked in. She thought they were just stressed, that things would get better once they had a baby. With Jasmine in the house, Renee tried to be patient. Jasmine was supposed to be healing from her breakup, finding her next step. But there were little things, small, strange moments Renee noticed, but didn't think too deeply about. Jasmine would wear one of Renee's sweaters, without asking, or sit too close to Malcolm on the couch, laughing at jokes that weren't funny. Renee thought maybe she was imagining it, maybe she was just tired from work. The truth was, Renee had always put everyone else first. At work, she put her patients before herself, staying late to comfort a crying family, or cover a sick co-worker's shift. At home, she took care of Malcolm, cooking his favorite meals, managing the bills, making sure he didn't feel bad about being unemployed. For Jasmine, she gave up her privacy and her peace because family was supposed to come first. She never once thought they would betray her in return. Renee doesn't explode. Instead, she cooks breakfast silently. Her movements slow and controlled. She places the frying pan on the stove, cracks eggs, and slices bread, acting like nothing happened. Her face is calm, but inside, she feels like her chest is being crushed. Jasmine and Malcolm sit at the table, quiet and awkward. They don't look at each other, but they don't look at Renee either. The air is heavy, thick with guilt and shame that no one wants to name. Renee places the plates in front of them without a word and sits down. She takes one bite of her toast and looks at her sister, her husband. She expects one of them to say something, anything, to explain or to beg. Instead, Jasmine clears her throat and says, shamelessly, "Renee, we need to talk. I love him." The words cut deeper than anything Renee heard the night before. Jasmine's voice is calm, almost proud, as if she isn't talking about the worst kind of betrayal. Malcolm lowers his eyes, saying nothing. No denial. No, it's not what you think. Renee stares at them, her hand frozen on the fork. She feels humiliation spreading through her body like fire, but she doesn't scream, doesn't throw the plate, doesn't cry in front of them. She pushes her chair back slowly, stands up, and walks out of the kitchen without a word. Outside on the porch, her hands tremble as she pulls out her phone and calls her best friend, Carla. The moment Carla answers, Renee breaks down, her voice shaking. "I saw them, Carla. Last night, my sister, my husband, in my bed." Carla's voice softens, full of shock and anger.
"Oh, Renee, I'm so sorry. What do you want me to do? Do you want me to come get you?"
Renee wipes her tears with the back of her hand. "No, not yet. I don't know what to do." Carla hesitates. "Please don't let them twist this on you. You hear me? You don't deserve this." Renee nods, even though Carla can't see her. "I won't. I need to think." When she hangs up, she sits there for a long time, staring at the street, her hands still shaking. Part of her wants to pack a bag and run, but another part whispers that she can't just walk away. Not like this. She thinks of all the bills she paid, all the nights she stayed up working so Malcolm could rest, all the time she opened her home to Jasmine. They had taken everything from her, but they wouldn't get away with it. That night when Malcolm and Jasmine are in the living room, watching TV, Renee quietly takes photos. Jasmine's clothes mix with Malcolm's in the laundry, their shoes by the door. The way Jasmine sits too close to him on the couch. She takes screenshots of texts she finds on Malcolm's phone when he leaves it unattended for a moment. Every detail, every piece of proof, she saves. She doesn't confront them, not yet. Instead, she moves with cold calmness, choosing intelligence over anger. "If they thought I would break, they're wrong," she thinks as she closes her bedroom door and locks it behind her. That night, she writes in her journal one simple line: "I won't let this destroy me. I will decide how this ends." Malcolm and Jasmine act like a couple in the same house, slowly pushing Renee out emotionally. They sit together on the couch, whispering and laughing at things she doesn't hear. When Renee walks into the room, they suddenly go quiet, pretending nothing is happening. At night, Malcolm doesn't even try to come to bed. He sleeps on the couch with Jasmine curled up next to him, claiming he doesn't want to disturb Renee. It feels like Renee is the stranger in her own. When she finally asks Malcolm why he is doing this to her, he sighs and shakes his head, like she is the one being unreasonable. "You've been so cold, Renee, so distant. We haven't been a real couple for months. You don't even touch me anymore." His words cut like knives, but then he says the thing that nearly breaks her: "Maybe if you could give me a child, none of this would have happened." Jasmine stands behind him, smirking slightly, then adds softly, "He just wants love." Renee, Maybe you never knew how to love him the way he needs. Renee feels her face burn with anger and humiliation. She wants to shout at them, throw them both out, but instead, she walks away. She locks herself in the bathroom and stares at her own reflection, wondering how they can twist the truth so easily, how they can make it seem like she is the problem. She thinks about divorce. She even looks up lawyers on her phone late at night. But fear stops. She worked for everything they have. The house is hers. She paid for most of it with her nursing salary. If she leaves, would they just take it? Would they move on, living comfortably in the home she built? When she tells Carla about it, her best friend doesn't hold back. Renee, you need to fight smart. Don't walk away with nothing. Get a lawyer. See what's yours legally. Don't let them win like this. Carla gives her the number of a lawyer, and after a long night of crying and thinking, Renee finally calls. The lawyer listens to her story, and then calmly explains, your name is on the deed, your accounts are separate and you've been paying all the bills. Legally, you're in a strong position. For the first time in weeks, Renee feels like she can breathe, but things inside the house get worse. Jasmine starts wearing Renee's clothes, as if they belong to her. One morning, Renee sees Jasmine walking into the kitchen, wearing one of her dresses, her hair brushed back, smelling of Renee's perfume. Why are you wearing my things? Renee asks, her voice shaking. Jasmine smiles. I'm just trying to feel more like the woman Malcolm deserves. It's like being stabbed in the heart.
Every day is another little cruelty.
Renee's makeup missing, her favorite mug broken.
Oh.
Malcolm using Renee's car without asking. They are trying to erase her piece by piece from her own life. But instead of breaking, Renee grows calm. She starts planning quietly and carefully. She documents everything, keeps all receipts, records conversations on her phone. She stops reacting to their provocations, which seems to frustrate them even more. One evening, she sits alone in her bedroom, looking at a wedding photo that once symbolized love, but now feels like a lie. She wipes away the last tear she plans to cry over Malcolm or Jasmine. If they wanted my life so badly, she whispers to herself, let's see how they handle it when I give it to them on my terms. From that night, Renee is no longer the heartbroken wife begging for answers. She is something stronger, calm, focused, and ready to take back control. Renee quietly moves most of her personal funds into a new account. She does it carefully, making sure Malcolm has no idea. Then she meets her lawyer and signs papers to transfer the house ownership completely to herself. It had always been hers by inheritance, but Malcolm's name was added after their marriage. Now that is undone. The house belongs to her alone again. She doesn't shout. She doesn't slam doors. She simply smiles politely at Malcolm and Jasmine whenever they talk, like nothing has changed. Inside, though, she feels stronger every day. A week later, she calls her parents and siblings, asking them to come to the house for an important family meeting. Jasmine looks nervous when she overhears, but says nothing. Malcolm seems confused, but doesn't question it. When everyone gathers in the living room, her parents, another sibling, even an aunt, Renee stands in front of them, holding her phone. She takes a deep breath and presses play. Malcolm's voice fills the room. Once the house is in my name, we can sell it and finally have enough to start fresh. Just us. Jasmine's voice follows. I know. She's too busy at work to even notice. She trusts us. It's perfect. The room goes silent. Her mother covers her mouth in shock. Her father's face hardens, and her aunt shakes her head. Jasmine jumps up from the couch. It's not what it sounds like. I love him. Okay, we're happy. Renee never gave him what he needed. I did. Malcolm sits frozen, pale, saying nothing. Renee steps forward, her voice steady. This house was never yours to take. It was mine before I even met Malcolm. And now it's mine again. She pulls out an envelope and drops it in Malcolm's lap. These are divorce papers. Sign them. Jasmine stares at her, face red. You can't just throw us out. Yes, I can. Renee says calmly. Pack up your things, Jasmine. This house was never yours. It's time you remembered that. For the first time, Jasmine breaks down crying. Malcolm looks up, his voice shaking. Renee, please. I made a mistake. We can fix this. Renee looks at him, her eyes soft but firm. No, Malcolm. I forgive you both, but you'll never hurt me again. Her parents nod in silent support. Jasmine runs upstairs crying, and Malcolm follows her, trying to comfort her. But it's over. Renee stands still for a moment, feeling the weight finally lift from her shoulders. She has lost a husband and a sister, but she has kept her dignity, her home, and her power. Renee finalizes her divorce, gains full ownership of her assets, and cuts off all communication with Jasmine. She changes her phone number and blocks both of them from her social media. The house is fully hers, and Malcolm has no claim to it. At first, the silence feels strange. No more late-night arguments. No more fake smiles at breakfast. No more pretending everything is fine. But slowly, that silence turns into peace. Renee starts sleeping through the night again, for the first time in months. She decides to start therapy. Talking to someone who doesn't judge her or blame her feels freeing. The therapist helps her see how she always put others first, even when it hurt her. She learns how to say no without feeling guilty. She begins to focus on herself, her own needs, her own happiness. One day, while cleaning out an old closet, she finds her painting supplies. She used to love painting, but she stopped after marrying Malcolm, telling herself she was too busy. Now she sets up a small corner of the living room as her art space. At first her hands feel stiff, but soon the colors start flowing again. Each brushstroke feels like healing. She also decides to do something she has never done before: travel alone. She books a trip to Italy, a dream she always had, but kept postponing for someday. In Rome, she walks through art galleries, eats fresh pasta, and watches sunsets without thinking about anyone else's needs. She feels light, free, and proud of herself. Back home, she buys a new condo closer to her favorite art studio. It's smaller than her house, but cozy and entirely hers. Every piece of furniture, every painting on the wall, every little detail feels like her new life taking shape. Her parents eventually come to visit, looking ashamed. They apologize for always favoring Jasmine, for not seeing how much pressure they put on Renee to be the responsible one. Renee listens quietly, then smiles softly. I'm not angry anymore. They stole my trust, but not my strength. Renee's voice is calm as she looks around the art gallery. Her paintings, full of color and emotion, hang on the walls. People move slowly through the room, stopping to admire her work. This is her first art collection, and it is sold out. Carla walks up, eyes shining with pride, and hugs her tightly. Look at you now, she whispers. You did it, Renee. You turned all that pain into something beautiful. Renee smiles, holding back tears. I had to, otherwise it would have broken me. A photographer approaches Renee, asking to capture her portrait for a magazine feature on emerging artists. She turns gracefully, standing tall, her expression calm and composed. She no longer carries the weight of the past. She doesn't see a victim in the mirror anymore. She sees a woman who rebuilt herself from the ground up, who found her strength in the silence and her voice in the aftermath. As the camera flashes, she meets the lens with quiet confidence and whispers, "Betrayal wasn't my ending. It was the beginning of finally meeting myself." Thank you for watching till the end. If this story touched your heart, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more powerful journeys of resilience and transformation. Until next time, take care and keep shining.